Hi, this is Bruella from Stormwind Speaks. I'm your one-shot reporter, bringing you the latest word on the street. Today we're going to be meeting my guild mate. He is also the guild manager of Spiral Out. Hi, ZABE. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for joining us.
Not a problem. I'm really excited to be here.
I've been looking forward to your interview. I can't lie.
Who wouldn't?
So I see that you've brought your tune named ZABE, and you look like a woman.
Yes, I do. I used to be a male troll, but when Pandaria came out, I switched to a lion side, and I was a male panda for a long time, but I didn't like the way that he looked. He was too big, he looked funny on all of his mouths, and his stomach bobbed up and down when he walked. So I became a female Draenei, because they're the only other race other than dwarf that can be shamans, but the male Draenei are just as huge as the male pandas.
I see. I like your feet too, your hooves. That's a plus.
Yes, definitely. I can't be a rogue, though.
Dang.
Clippity clop.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you'd be a dead giveaway. Well, what's your actual name?
My name is Chris, but most of my friends call me Bear.
And how old are you?
I am 23.
How long have you been playing World of Warcraft?
Since 2007, so I don't know, what's that, 6, 7 years? Yeah, 6 years now. I started in about the middle of BC.
And why did you start playing World of Warcraft? What got you started doing that?
Another Blizzard game, Diablo 2, came out when I was in 6th grade. I got it then, and I played that for like 7 or 8 years, up until I was a freshman at college. I had also played Warcraft 2 and Warcraft 3 coming into WoW. I had some friends who I played D2 with in college that also played WoW, and since they liked it, I decided one night I was going to check it out, and I haven't stopped since.
Awesome. How many tunes do you have?
I have, I have 50. I've reached the character cap across all the different servers. I've been in a lot of different places, and I can't pay to move all my characters with me every time I find a new WoW home, so I usually end up remaking most of what I have.
That's a lot of tunes. I had no idea there even was a character cap. Are they mostly low level, or?
Oh, I have an 85 Hunter, 2 85 DKs, a couple an 80 Hunter as well, other than the other one, an 80 Pally, my 90 Pally, my 90 Shaman. On every server I played on, I have like 2 or 3 high-level characters.
Wow, that's a lot of game time.
Oh, I've been playing a long time, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have any of them like hooked up with gear?
Well, my 85 DK is honestly pretty poorly geared right now. The one that I have on Shadow Song, I used to raid with him back in the day when he was on Fenris, though, and he was pretty decked out then. I maintained everything in Wrath on him from Nax up to ICC, so he was pretty sweet. My Pally has alright gear, kind of crappy gear now, honestly, but ZABE is full malevolent right now. I've been
Nice.
PvPing on him for most of this expansion.
Very cool. Tell me about ZABE. Is that the character that you play the most often?
It is. During BC, my main was a hunter, and when Death Knights came out, I kind of jumped on that bandwagon. I was really excited to be a DK, and that was my main all through Wrath. But when Cataclysm came out, my girlfriend, who I'm with now, Issa, she wanted to start playing, and I had to level up a tune with her so she'd actually, get into the game and stuff. So I made the shaman. I was enhanced all through Cataclysm. It was a lot of fun, and when Pandaria came out, I decided I'd try something a little differently. At the time, we really needed some good range DPS in our guild, so I decided to go with Ellie, and I've been Ellie ever since.
Very cool. Well, since you mentioned Isa, your girlfriend, there is a question that came in from someone in the guild that wanted to know, how did you and Isa meet?
Another officer in our guild, Relayer, he's a buddy of mine. He plays in a band, actually, and I met Issa kind of through him because he was friends with her, and we used to kind of use his band practices as an excuse to get together and kind of drink and smoke and hang out. Well, it was the weekend after my birthday, and I had just gotten home from work, and I went over to a house party that he was playing a show at, and it just so happened to be Issa's house, and that's how I met her.
How long have you guys been together?
Almost 2 years now.
That's awesome. Right now with your tune, what are you currently working on?
I actually am kind of in a weird point right now. I'm full malevolent gear. I'm working most of my effort goes into towards trying to recruit for the guild to get us some more PvPers. We have our RBG core, which is pretty successful, but we have 2 other RBG groups that go during the week that we're still trying to kind of get off the ground, so we need some more people to fill in spots for that. I just finished the Shield Wall rep grind and got exalted with them, and I haven't really decided what faction in Pandaria I want to explore next.
Very cool. Have you gone through most of the missed content at this point?
I'd like to say that I have, but I haven't really. Pandaria, I don't know, something about it just doesn't really get to me. I have Lore Master of Cataclysm, I have Lore Master of Northrend, and I don't have Lore Master of Outlands because when I did Outlands, there wasn't achievements yet. But Pandaria just feels kind of weird. I don't really like the Dread Waste, Talong Steps at all, but I have done most of Jade Forest, Kunlai Summit, and Valley of the Four Winds, and Crossing Wilds as well.
Yeah, actually that's a lot of content for sure. What expansion have you enjoyed playing the most?
Wrath of the Lich King, for sure. Those were kind of my glory days. I played in BC, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I hit 70 late in the expansion, right when the Isle of Keldanos first came out, so I didn't really get a chance to jump in and see a lot of the content. But in Wrath, I was one of the first people to hit 80 on my server. I played for like 2 days straight without sleeping until I got there. Like I said, I raided a ton. That's when I started my first guild, which was actually a PvE guild, and got all my experience and my raid awareness. It was a lot of fun.
Wow, that sounds cool, actually. How many guilds have you had?
How many guilds have I had, or how many guilds have I been in?
Actually, how many guilds have you managed?
Well, on Fenris, I was an officer in Pirates of the Horde. Was the name of our guild. We were Warside, obviously, on my DK. But me and about 7 other friends of mine had been moving from guild to guild together. We all met up in a guild called Vengeance, actually, and we didn't really like the GM in that guild and some of the decisions he made. He was kind of a dick, and he would kick people for like no real reason or justification. So one day, I just kind of messaged them, and I was like, I'm kind of tired of this shit. I think we should do our own thing. And that's when we started Blood Brothers, and I was the GM of that guild for a long time until I had to step down and give it to my friend Terry for school. And I've tried going back and playing with them a bit, but then Terry ended up having to step down later and gave it to somebody else that wasn't really part of the original clique, and a lot of things changed, and it's not really my guild or our guild anymore, what it used to be, so I've moved away onto bigger and better things, and now, of course, Spiral out.
In your opinion, at this point in time, what do you consider to be the most powerful class in the game, and why?
Well, I know a lot of people would disagree with this, but I think I would have to say Shadow Priest, simply because they don't do, I mean, they do pretty decent damage, but they don't top the charts the way a lock does. But at the same time, they have way more utility with Disperse and Void Shift, and the fact that they can drop Shadow Form and heal just as well as a normal healer.
Okay. Right now, how do you like to spend your time in the game?
Most of the time that I spend in the game, I'm doing random battlegrounds or arenas or RPGs. I like the PvP. Since I've gotten full malevolent, PvP has just gotten that much more fun because Ellie Shamans are really squishy right now, but now that I'm fully geared, people are having a harder time killing me, so I can actually survive long enough to kill people.
Does squishy mean more easily killable?
Yeah, you could say that. Classes like Paladins and Warriors and Warlocks, they just have a lot of abilities to stop damage from really hurting them, where someone who's squishy means if you start wailing on them, they're going to die pretty quick.
Are you collecting anything in Mists of Pandaria, like mounts or pets, or what drops are you liking?
Honestly, you could say in a way I'm kind of collecting pets. I don't keep them myself though. My girlfriend Isha is a pretty avid pet battler and pet collector, so whenever I do find rare pets, or I do buy quite a few rare pets actually, I usually end up giving them to her, not keeping them myself. And I also collect gold, because I'm awesome.
You're awesome like that. Well, you sound like a nice boyfriend to give her the pets that she wants. How much gold do you have?
Right now, I only have about 6K, because the other night when I was drunk, I spent 10,000 gold on a level 85 450 eye level mace for my DK, which I strongly regret. Though I would say, since Pandaria has come out, I've made over 200,000 gold.
Wow. Wow, that's crazy. Do you play the auction house at all?
I do somewhat, but not particularly. I kind of lucked out. At the beginning of the expansion, the Dark Moon Fair trinkets were really going for a lot, and I was an inscriptionist, so I could make them, and I would sell my cooldowns every day, or for thousands of gold, and people would tip me thousands of gold depending on the cards that I got. I would also spend like hours literally just flying around farming nodes. It's harder to do now, because once again, I was 90 pretty fast in this expansion because I leveled like a beast, but once more and more people started getting 90, farming is not so easy anymore because it's really competitive, especially for the high value flowers with the druids that don't have to dismount to pick them and they can zip around. It really pisses me off, actually.
Yeah, that's definitely a perk, not to spend that extra time and trouble dismounting to do that.
Yeah, druids get a lot of nice little things like that.
There's a new patch coming up, 5.2. Have you had a chance to look into what that entails, and are you looking forward to anything in there?
I have. I've read up on it several times. It keeps changing every few weeks or so as they update it. The things I'm looking forward to most, I think, though, are Shamanistic Rage. It's going to give me another defensive cooldown that reduces the damage I take by 30% for like 6 seconds, which is great because as an Ellie Shaman, I only have one move to click when people are focusing me with like a 2-minute cooldown, so I'll be able to stay alive a little bit better. They're also changing Flame Shock to heal me for 30% of the damage that it does, which honestly I don't think is really going to matter because it doesn't do much damage, but more than that, because I've kind of accepted that Ellie Shaman is a difficult class to play as far as content goes, I'm really excited about the dinosaur mounts.
I've heard about those.
Yeah, I can't wait to get a Triceratops.
Oh yeah, for sure. You mentioned focusing. For new players out there, what does that mean if someone focuses on you? What does that mean?
Well, most of the time in organized PvP, you have a target caller, and they're the one who decides who on the other team is going to die. And when you get focused, that means not just like 1 or 2 guys, but usually 4 or 5 guys all turns and attacks at the same exact time to try and kill you before your healers can respond.
That sounds pretty brutal.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
What are some of the things that you found that might frustrate you about World of Warcraft? I mean, whether it's developers or content or dynamics or anything.
Well, there's a lot of things that have changed over time in the game that have frustrated me. Most recently, some of the things that frustrate me are Blizzard's take on PvPers. Our PvP mounts and our PvP titles are not account-wide, though Raiders, PvE, and PvE mounts and titles are account-wide. Our Gladiator achievements and Rival Duelists, things like that, are not account-wide.
That's
They
kind of
also
disappointing.
have made, yeah, that's an understatement, especially people who've put in the time to get them. They have changed conquest points from Cataclysm, the points that you used to buy the really good arena gear. It used to be that you could do heroics to get valor points and change them into conquest points and vice versa. You can no longer do that, so you have to do arenas to get conquest cap now, and they've also forced it so that you have to do RBGs to be able to get your full conquest cap, which for a lot of people isn't a big deal, but for some people, especially newer players, it's a lot easier to cap in twos with a friend than it is to find 9 other people willing to put up with your shitty gear to carry you through RBGs. And then, that all being said about PvP, I think the thing that frustrates me the most about this game is probably Ghostcrawler, the lead developer. He's prone to make pretty ignorant statements that show just how much he doesn't know about this game. He plays an Unholy DK and a Frost Mage, and because of that, any class that is good at killing either one of those will immediately be nerfed to the ground. Frost Mages have remained one of the best classes in the game since Burning Crusade, where every other class has had an up or a down point. They've just consistently been good. And he continues to nerf Enhance and Elemental Shamans, arguably some of the worst classes in the game to PvP with, to the ground because Resto Shamans are good, and he can't, he in his mind, it doesn't make sense to just nerf Resto Druids.
Sounds like he favors his own class a little bit.
Yeah, that's why you should have a developing team, not a developer.
Good point. What occupies your time when you are not playing World of Warcraft? What do you do in real life?
I am a pharmacy technician, which sounds a lot more glamorous than it is. I basically work at a warehouse for Kroger where we do, when you put in like an overnight prescription order, it gets filled at this warehouse, and I work in the shipping section of that. So pharmacists fill the prescription, it gets packed up into little neat baggies with the paper stapled on them, and then I pick all those baggies up and put them in the right totes to get put on a truck to decide where they're going to go. And I read a lot. Currently I'm reading Game of Thrones, like the book series after I saw the show on HBO, and I'm on the 3rd book right now.
Do you have any pets?
Currently, I do. Me and Issa have 2 cats, Melvin and Missy. Melvin is a really fat, fluffy orange cat, and Missy's a bitchy old black and brown and white cat. But they're very sweet, and I love them a lot. But those have been her pets since she was a kid. I used to raise rats, actually, which is weird, but they're actually a lot smarter and cleaner and nicer than people think. I've had some mean ones over the years, but I've also had some really great ones, as in I've been able to train them to come to me when I call for them. They've learned their names, they've been able to do commands I give them and stuff. They're the 3rd smartest domesticated animal. Not a lot of people know that.
I was one of those people. I mean, I think of a rat and I think, I don't even want to have a discussion that involves the word rat, but it's kind of interesting that they can come when you call their name. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, like I said, they're the 3rd smartest domesticated animal behind horses and pigs.
Can they do tricks?
They can, but I didn't put that much time into them. If you go on YouTube, you can find videos of people who fill tubs full of water and throw coins in them, and the rats will actually dive down and pick up the coins for them and stuff, and really cool stuff.
Cool. Circus rats. I see that you're wearing a pretty snazzy outfit today. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, my pimp hat, of course, which is probably my favorite part of my outfit. I like it a lot. As you saw in the screenshots, it's what I wear almost all the time. I used to use eye patches when I was a troll. I had a pretty extensive collection of eye patches, actually. I have black, brown, and orange ones to match every outfit for every occasion.
That's
right now,
awesome.
I'm using Thunder Fury recoloring. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm using a Thunder Fury recoloring for my transmog. I use it because of the lava. As elemental shamans, our best move is lava burst, and so I think it kind of fits that I'm wearing lava while I smack people with my lava dick.
Ah, okay. It's kind of making sense now. And speaking of lava dick, why don't you explain what that means? Where did it come from? What's some background behind it?
Like I said, lava burst is my hardest hitting move. And when I pop Ascendance, it takes the cooldown off of Lava Burst, and I also have it macro to my Elemental Mastery, so it increases my casting time by 30%. So basically, when I pop Ascendance, I'm able to Lava Burst somebody about 20 times in 15 seconds, which is crazy when everyone is hitting for 80, 90k a piece, and it can usually kill somebody, one or two people, before my Ascendance is up.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it is, but sadly that's also my hardest hitting moves, and when Ascendance is not up, comes up once every 3 minutes, I am not so useful. But, yeah, so I used to just lava burst people to death, and I don't remember, we were just fucking around one night, and I think I said I'm hitting them with my lava dick, and ever since then, it's just what I do.
Fantastic. That was actually a question that someone had written in and wanted to know more about. What advice do you have for any new players that might be watching or listening today?
Probably the best advice I have for you guys is to find a good guild. When I first started playing WoW back in BC, I didn't know what I was doing. I had tons of stupid questions. I didn't know how to make money. All the money I did make, I spent on really dumb things. I basically just kind of need a voice of guidance and a voice of reason. You need patient people, and that's the problem I've had with a lot of other guilds I've been in, is that when someone is new there, they just automatically assume that that person's an idiot, and they ignore them or they kick them out of the guild because they don't want to deal with those kind of questions. But at the same time, as a new player, it's really important to ask questions, and if you're not in an environment where people are willing to work with you and help you when you have questions, I'd recommend finding a new one.
That's good advice. How many members does Spiral Out have to date?
I think we have 709 members. That's actually characters in the guilds, but I would venture to say we probably only have about 50 to 60 actual accounts in here, and by that I mean, a real player that has all of their tunes here. We have more than that if you count people's alts from other guilds, but we have about 50 or 60 active people in our guild.
How long ago did you make this guild?
It was right before Pandaria came out, I think last August, and right now it is January, so yeah, it hasn't been around that long, probably about 4 or 5, maybe 6 months.
And what made you fall in love with PvP?
When I was playing in BC a long time ago, I was level 41, and I was farming ore in the Arathi Islands, and I found a level 38 paladin trying to take the silver ore, and this was back when I was on Ravenhalls, which is actually pretty funny if you know anything about RP servers, but I didn't know any better back then, and, I attacked him to stop him from getting the ore, and basically what happened was the next 25 minutes, both of us, he was a prot pally, because that's how a lot of paladins used to actually level, by AoE grinding as a tank. So I couldn't kill him, but he couldn't do enough damage to kill me, and yeah, it was really intense. It was probably one of the best fights I've ever had in my WoW history, and I remember it fondly to this day, but since then I've been pretty hooked.
Cool. So the original members, that was you, Relayer, and Issa, or were there other people that came with you to start this?
Those are the people who are still around today. We did have another friend of mine, my brother, who started the guild with me. His name is Trippy Main, but he kind of skipped out because he wasn't doing so hot in school, spending all his time on WoW with us. We also have a couple of other members in the guild who have been here like an exceptionally long time, like Tarky and Shinamos. Neither one of them are able to play very much anymore, but it was a really big deal back in the day to have people who were like level 85, level 86 going into the Pandaria content that were willing to stay with us and stick around through us being a level 6 guild. Shinamos, for those who don't know, is actually Okin's, Nico's cousin, and that's how Nico got into the guild as well as Destre.
Oh, very cool. What would you say is the biggest headache about being a guild manager? And this is another question from someone that wrote in.
Oh man, it has to deal with managing people's egos, and I mean that in a lot of senses. You could say that in leading RBGs, for one. I get people who don't want to do what I ask them to do a lot, which is frustrating. And then as a guild master, I always get people who are whispering me, telling me how good they are, how great they are, how they're going to do all these things and help out so much. And I find people who talk the loudest and people who talk the most are the people who actually do the least.
That's interesting. Someone else wrote in, do you have a favorite on your core RBG team?
Do I have a favorite?
A favorite.
Well, of course, if I have a favorite, it would have to be Issa, the disc healer, my girlfriend. She has been playing disc since she started in Cataclysm, and she gets a lot of hate. People tell her that disc priests are not very good right now, that they suck, and what a lot of people don't realize is that disc priests is actually scaled very well with gear, and that when you had contenders and a few pieces of honor gear, disc priests may have sucked, but right now, I'm an elemental shaman, like I said, one of the squishiest classes in the game. When I do twos, a disc priest is the only healer that can keep me up. The rest of the shamans just die. Holy pallies let me die. Druids let me die, and the same with monks. She's the only healer capable of actually keeping me alive. And for that, she is worth more than a lot of people, I would say.
I think you're scoring a lot of points here.
Yeah, I gotta do what I can, right?
No, definitely. That's awesome. So what do you think about the future of this guild? Where do you see it going? What are your goals for it?
Well, I think we've already achieved one of my biggest goals I set in setting out, which was I want to make a guild that has that same kind of atmosphere when I first started the game, the kind of guild that will help you get your epic mount, that will run you through dungeons to make sure that you have decent gear and you can actually quest, that will help you when someone's camping you. You know, the way I see a guild is it's kind of like your WoW family, and it's like you shouldn't just think of WoW. When you think about WoW, you should immediately think of your guilds, because those are the people who you play with, the people you talk to, and the people you should be involved with. Now, that being said, with my goal for community, I would like to see our guild get to be a little bit more competitive in PvP. Our RBG core team right now is sitting at 1600. I think that we could easily push up to 1800, 1900 once we get a set group and 5.2 hits and we start really working at it. I would also like to see maybe some more members to get another RBG group going in the future. But things are going pretty well, and I've accomplished a lot of our goals. I don't want to see us become one of these giant Walmart guilds like some other guilds are, where they actually have 2 or 3 separate guilds with thousands of people in them. I like us all knowing each other's names and being friends on Facebook and knowing who you're talking to when you're talking in guild chat. I don't want us to be like a nameless face in the crowd kind of guild.
I would have to say, being a member of your guild, and I mean, I haven't been with you guys all that long, but it does feel close-knit, and it does feel like you're not just a name on the screen.
I would say that too. That was a big goal, coming out because I was in Rain when I first moved to kill Jaden Horde side, and I felt like that, especially in a guild that big that had like 3,000 members. I've been in a lot of really big guilds where no one really cares who you are or what you do, and if you're level 90 and you're not exactly what they're looking for, then they don't care about you at all.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like you have moved around, from server to server and through a few guilds. Are you going to stick around a while?
I intend to. I really love the guild that I'm in right now. I love my guildies. I mean, it's a great guild, and we put a lot of work into it, and I wouldn't be able to do it alone. A lot of our guild's success has to do with the fact that I've had such good help from other people. I don't see myself leaving anytime soon. The only thing I really dislike about our server is Ruinous, one of the bigger guilds. They get kind of obnoxious and it wears me down after a while. But other than that, no, I like Kill Jaden. I moved here after doing a lot of research. Even though Horde do outnumber us, it's one of the most balanced PvP servers that there are around. Most other servers are almost completely Horde or completely Alliance, where this server actually has a significant population on both sides. And I think I'll definitely be staying on Kill Jaden. I mean, I do miss being a troll a lot, and so because of that, I think that if our guild ever does fail, and I don't see it failing anytime in the near future, that I would probably make my shaman back a troll. But like I said, I don't see that happening, so.
What are some of your favorite WoW sites to go to for information? Where do you like to check out?
Wowhead is probably my favorite site because I'm really interested in the story aspect of this game, and there's usually some really interesting comments on there having to do with everything from, just everything. Something I feel like is really undervalued among a lot of people is actually the WoW forums. I spend a lot of time on there reading. It's a great resource for finding out what's going on in your server, finding out what's going on with other guilds, finding out what's happening on the opposite faction side, and also putting your name out there and getting people who also read the forums to recognize you and your guild. And they also have not just like your server forums, but they also have PvP guides for every class and every spec. They have regemming, reforging, enchants, things like that. They have all of that stuff on there, and a lot of other people will spend a lot of time in Google looking for that stuff when it's sticky to the top of their class forum.
Nice. I've been to Wowhead before, and I know that they have a lot of information, but I know that's a huge site too. I've got one last question for you. What add-ons do you have, and how do you use them? Why do you like them?
Well, it's required. There's two add-ons that are required for our guild for RPGs, and that's Battleground Targets and Healers Have to Die, because it shows you the same way that when you're in a raid group, it'll show you the enemy's raid group, and you can set it to show their class colors, their health percentages, and their health bars. So basically it's like having a raid frame just for the enemy. And then Healers Have to Die, create a giant red X above every healer on their team. So if you're ever confused about who you should be hitting one of them is probably a good idea. I also use Bartender I use a Razer Naga mouse, which is a normal mouse, but it has 12 buttons on the side that you hit with your thumb, and I use Bartender to rearrange my bars in-game to kind of correlate with where the buttons are on my mouse. So I have the basic action bars across the bottom, and then I also have a 3x4 square with 12 buttons on it, because I need to be able to see in my mind to kind of correlate what buttons I'm hitting. And then last but not least, I use Auctionator and Postal to help me with the auction house, and Postal just allows me to open all of my mail at the same time rather than one by one.
That's convenient.
Yeah, it is. It helps a lot, especially when you're trying to sell a lot of things in the auction house.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share in closing?
No, not in particular. Thank you for your time, Kara. I really appreciate it. I've had a lot of fun. I've been looking forward to this, and I'm happy that you're doing this for our guild.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much for sitting down with me. As I said, I was looking forward to your interview, and I like putting it on my blog. And I'm proud of our guild. I'm really proud to be a member of our guild. I think it's an awesome family, and it's a fun way to spend my time. Anyway, thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for your time.
Well, this has been eye-opening for me.
I'm the boss.
Yeah, no, I got that. You said it about 400 times.
I'm the boss.
Yeah, I got it.
I'm the boss.
No, I heard you. See you later.
Like a boss.